Hey, what's up, y'all? I already promised y'all, this video was in the making, and how I was gonna do a discussion vid and review on RWBY Volume 6, and you know what? I'm finally, in the mood and in the position, and I'm in the spot now to finally get it, out the way. So yeah, you know how it is. Like I also said before about this video, it might, be an hour long because, like I said, it's a discussion vid, and I actually honestly like making, hour long podcasts and discussion vids because pretty much always got a lot of fucking, I got a lot to always talk about. Like I said before, I'm a chatterbox, so you always got a lot of shit to talk about. So, it is what it is. Oh yeah, just a reminder, this is a review slash discussion vid. So that's mostly gonna be talking about RWBY Volume 6, but sometimes, there's gonna be a lot of other things gonna be talking about that might get jumped in the mix, like, shit that's all through this year, probably even eventual reviews that may come out in the future, or what's going on with your boy, and sometimes they'll get sidetracked here and there, but still, in all, it's a review, more or less, more or less. Um, let's see. I know this is pretty much going to seem like a summary of all that, more or less a summary, a sort of like summary and review of of all the episodes I did, but I'll try to make sure that it's not like 100%ly the same as my weekly videos I used to do. I try to like make it different. Try to change it up, chop it up a bit, because honestly, I didn't write fucking script for this. I'm fucking just doing this by scratch. I kind of don't need one. You kind of already knew what was going on as soon as you went to this video. Um, honestly, how there was from what I pretty much saw the trailers for Volume 6, I kind of had a feeling that they were kind of pushing something really big with Volume 6 in this one. And yeah, I'm going to admit, yeah, I was kind of surprised, like, oh shit, something's going to actually happen in this season. So like, yeah, I'm full force with this one. Unlikely from that disappointing last season, Volume 5, literally nothing happened. But yeah, something big is going to happen with this one. Something big and whatnot. Although how like pretty much fucking dumb the finale was of Volume 6, but for the most part, a lot of things, did turn to a different direction. Things kind of did, go somewhere with Volume 6 for the most part. Um, let's see. If I'm gonna have to start, like, if I'm gonna talk more about this review, I think the first part I'm gonna have to start about Volume 6 is pretty much if they're gonna keep this in tradition, I kind of have the feeling like this might be the last time we'll see these current time skip looks for Team RWBY. Like, if they do keep in tradition, just like RWBY, because through Volume 1 through 3, they always had the same attire, and if they keep in tradition, considering in Volume 4 to 6 they have new looks, and they're about to start to a new one, Volume 7. Maybe possible we'll see some new designs and whatnot if they keep it in tradition. I'm not sure. They probably might not. They probably might will. We'll cross that boat when it gets there, Volume 7. But yeah, more or less, this is one thing I just had to point out. If they're going to keep that, in tradition, then this might as well as, may change the looks for Team RWBY from what we've seen so far. Uh, damn, actually absent-minded as fuck about this. Um, uh, for the most part, I feel like the original the Monty Ohm style choreography in this season actually is kind of more prominent now. So I guess they stepped up the A game. Although I feel like some parts in RWBY Volume 6 is like really like just badly edited and censored in some reasons. Just like pretty much when the first episode opened up, and you'll find Adam fighting, his own White Fang members just to get to the throne, and he slew it out of disgrace because he lost to Blake with that one hit, that one shot attack, that double X hand from Volume Five's finale. So yeah, like that, like scenes like that, it just show him just walk up in there and you just hear the dialogue and the whole camera view just pans slowly towards the throne chair. But instead of just seeing him, actually fight them, it's just show it just has his voiceover, and then when they show him get to the throne chair, it shows him dead. I'm like, wow, that's such a waste. Like you could have just actually shown that, or I guess it was too violent to show or something. Despite they violently killed Adam in the last episodes of Volume 6, or just like if they violently cut out Calivera's ass in her personal flashback episode. I mean, they can show that, like, those who get violently murdered, but that scene in particular was like a big no-no. So I guess they had to censor it some way with some really just awkward voiceovers of the whole transition of the scene. But for the most part, yeah, how toned down they tried to make it seem, although Ruby kind of forgets what type of tone is trying to provocate sometimes. Sometimes it tries to be, this really heartwarming, but this heartwarming but still, interesting action fantasy, and sometimes it tries to be really dark, so it can be good despite, how harsher a tone is if something doesn't equate to it being good. Like over, like just over edging something, so to speak. It doesn't make it good. You kind of have to have a quality control, a tone control. The tone needs to be consistent. Do you want to make it really dark, or do you want to make it really like tone really soft for the most part? Me personally, actually kind of did feel like the overall tone for Volume 6 compared to his predecessors, it kind of looks it for the most part did keep up a nice blend of being dark when it need to be and being still lighthearted when it need to be. Like Volume 1 to 2 lighthearted, because Volume 3 that's where it actually got edgier, so to speak. I guess they just want people to take Ruby more seriously, or at least that's my prediction of why Volume 3 kind of always had a really more darker tone. Despite that's not even the real reason why Volume 3 is even my favorite, because it has a darker tone. I liked it Volume 3 because generally it was just really good. Feel like actually the plot of Ruby was getting somewhere, not because the tone of it was edgier. I liked it Volume 3 because the plot was actually going somewhere. Maybe it actually did kind of get invested in what's going on. And even for the most part, the tournament aspect of Volume 3 is pretty good. And I'm not really big on tournament arcs in anything like that, despite pretty much two of my favorite shonens being tournament heavy anime, Saint Seiya and Yu Hakusho. But for the most part, I'm not really big on tournament arcs. I just always saw that as just a really quick and easy and kind of cheap and lazy way to introduce characters and exposition and storytelling without actually having to just write it out. So yeah, that's kind of one of my biggest gripes with it. It's a really cheap way to write characters, to get characters out. There's like so many other ways you can actually give exposition properly, because exposition is not exactly bad. It's just how it's done. It's how you do exposition is what really matters. Exposition is just fine. It's just you gotta know when and when not to do it. There gotta be. It's more so who's behind the wheel than the car itself. How is this gonna work out? How is this gonna come to effect? Like if it's just out there, just blatant exposition, whether it be character or plot exposition. Despite you pretty much already heard the aspects of the story or the characters earlier in the series, then that's where exposition actually gets worse. But if you just keep repeating it, or you just make it blatantly obvious, like almost like you're talking to the audience, then that's really bad exposition. You gotta actually have to know how to do it. I mean, exposition, pretty much explains the fucking story. So yeah, it's exposition is important. But then again, like I said, it's not the car, but it's the man behind the wheel that depends it. And that's the same thing I have to say about exposition in general. It's more so where you take it, what you got to do with it, so to speak. Um, for the most part, graphically, if I'm gonna have to say graphically, it pretty much looks the same as the two other seasons that came after it. But for the most part, it was still actually kind of pleasing to look at, with all the actually full foot. Yeah, I know that sounded corny, but yeah, the visuals actually looked really stunning because of the full footed choreography. Volume 6 had. It actually does look like I should look at this. Not only is the animation good, but the choreography is on fleek. So, you got 2 and 2, at its best part. So, yeah, for the most part, the visual animation for this was actually more appealing, despite. And I know I may be the only one who spot this out. I may be wrong. Uh, so yeah, but Ruby always had this really sharp and edgy looking sharp and edge looking art style and design to it and whatnot. Like their fingers kind of have really edges and whatnot, or their shoulders or their blades. But up until like volume 4 through 6, it kind of seemed to get a little rounder. Like the edges were more softer. Things actually more oval like, more circular like. Guess it's just how most modern cartoons and modern animation in general is just made. Everything's really cutesy and circly and ovally like, so, and bubbly. So yeah, I guess it's just it just I guess this Rooster Teeth just more or less keeping up to date with the art style. Personally, I'm not a big fan of that type, but I can see where they were going with it. The example of that would be She-Ra, how the new one that came out that everyone's fucking losing their minds over. That's an example of it. It's just, or Steven's Universe. I actually just don't care for how they're drawn. I don't really care for the bubbly and softer and circular like art style, despite my fucking afro being that way. So yeah, I can see the approach they were going for volume 6 and volume 4 through 6, with the more circly and ovally uses of shapes when they crafted human anatomy and weaponry and whatnot, and hell, even the background to a certain extent. But me personally, I just don't care for it. But they were trying to keep up with speed, so I can understand why they pretty much pulled it off. Um, if I'm gonna have to say anything about the music in Ruby, um, uh, let's see. The main intro is nothing to speak of. I'm just going to put it out like that. Uh, but here around again, it kind of seems like the overall actually BGM, the overall OST of Ruby Volume 6, it kind of crippled a bit. It's how I see it, how I hear it, how I interpret it. Like I don't know. It seems like the tracks here at here and then just kind of shorter, or they just sound like just really just bad or just mediocre rehashes of previous songs. Like Nevermore sounded like Nevermore literally sounded like that track, that the last track they put for the credits of Volume Three's finale episode. Like Nevermore kind of sounded really familiar to this, so I don't know it. That song particularly, the one they used for the credits for Volume Three's finale. I don't know the song, the name of it, but Nevermore in that song, they just sounded really familiar. Casey Lee Williams, and them, they, I don't know, they kind of just, if I'm pronouncing their names right, Casey Lee Williams, if I'm pronouncing them, uh, I feel like they didn't really give it their all for the overall soundtrack of Volume Six. It's not terrible. It's not mind-numbingly terrible, but I feel like they didn't put their all into this one, so to speak. It could have been better. Some songs just feel like there was just like badly just short, like just short to the point. Like it's like you guys just pretty much you guys like wrote half of this song at one point and like, oh, what's the fucking point? Let's just do this, bitch. Like that's kind of how I feel about half of the overall vocal tracks of Volume Six. Like I just feel like the songwriters and Casey was just writing it at one point. Then it was like, oh fuck it, let's just work what we got right here. This really unfinished song. Background music in RWBY's usually always forgettable because it's just a bunch of guitar riffs, like something you can get from a beat website or a beat make or something you can make on a beat maker or something you can just literally just buy a guitar and just do a couple of riffs and boom, that's RWBY's background music in a nutshell. It's just a bunch of riffs and raps and whatnot. So yeah, that's what it. Yeah, so it is what it is. So yeah, it's forgettable. Overall, actually, music for Volume Six. Yeah, I know this fucking gross. Um, the overall evaluation I had to give for it is it just seemed kind of seemed a little lazy, a little limp in this one. Uh, Even despite of my actual mix thoughts, my mix reviews on RWBY's music in general is like it's whatever. I mean, that's kind of one of the many things that actually kind of makes RWBY really infamous is the soundtrack, and it's just it's kind of a bummer for the most part, just how just so disinteresting Volume Six uh, uh, soundtrack is. It's too short. You can't really get invested into it. It's here and there. It's really rehashed of other songs. Uh, and here and there, Casey's. I wouldn't say she can't sing. I don't think she's a bad singer. No, but it just feel like she didn't give it her all either on the overall vocal performances. Like if you look at like if you were talking about where she actually did put her she put all of her attention into the music. I would say like the Shine would be one of them. She actually feel like she was in the song. Cold, Shine, Neon. That I love that song. Yeah, I know it's all girly and cutesy and whatever, but that song's actually like it's actually a headbanger. To be honest, it really puts you, really, hypes you up for, fight with the annoying cat bitch and Yang and the dumb rich bitch and the black guy with the trumpet, Flint Cole. Yeah, I'm just yanking out chains, but yeah. I tried to do racist jokes, but they didn't land, so I'm like, fuck it. Yeah. Don't get the wrong answer, of course, most of the shit that I say outside from, the actual analysis of things I do on this channel, aside from, actually doing analysis of movies and whatnot, half of the shit that be come out my mouth, is purely jokes. Like, I'm actually not racist. Most of my friends are, of different ethical backgrounds. Just so, y'all know, and, they're pretty good people and whatnot. I know I'm just sucking it up, but yeah, I may sound like an undercover racist, but nah, it's some people can't, and this, especially in this day and age, like some people are just so fucking sensitive that, you know, a joke, just like I said now, just, a minute ago, some people will really take that out of fucking proportion, despite, I just said myself that, unless if it's actual analysis of videos and movies and whatnot, and other shit I'm reviewing here, if it ain't that, then half of the shit I'd be saying is just quips that, you should take as a grain of salt. So I'm just getting out the way because, this is really actually a fucking generation of pussies. So yeah, I just wanted to get that out there. But yeah. Uh, anyway, back on actual vocal performances. Yeah, Casey didn't really. She didn't put her all into the overall vocal performance. She's not a bad singer. It's just it kind of feels like her overall, especially with Nevermore. It just feel like she's just signed up to do just another fucking song that's pretty much already been done in the series. Kind of just like Crush 40 in the nutshell. They pretty much make the same songs over and over again. Like Escape from the City, like yeah, that joint was awesome. And Escape from the City and Open Your Heart and It Doesn't Matter and Live and Learn, like those are fucking headbangers. And even I Am All of Me, although that song's like kind of like really fucking corny and just really over fucking sensitive, but still that song's fucking awesome. And all the other songs after those ones I listed are pretty much the same exact fucking songs. And they're like nowhere as good as the ones I just listed. Oh, and What I'm Made Of, that was pretty good. And that's pretty much in comparison to RWBY's overall vocal soundtrack in a nutshell. It's just at one point, yeah, the first two seasons, their soundtracks were great. Shine and the third opening to Volume 3, the third opening of Volume 3. Just fucking already said it. And a few other tracks, of course, Shine, Cold, Fall. I think that's what it was called, Fall. Um, Volume 2 soundtrack was pretty good. Main soundtrack was pretty good. Blake's song is pretty good. Armed and Ready is good. Uh, Mirror Mirror, I actually kind of like that song, despite the terrible, obvious lip sync from Volume 4, where obviously Casey was just singing over a Weiss's body, despite that was obviously not the same voice actor. He could come out, but yeah, that's besides the point. That was just one of the many things. Pretty much one of the main many gripes I got with Volume 4 in general. But yeah, I know I just was pretty much stretching this out for a long time, trying to clarify some shit. Like, I'm not a fucking racist, and most of the jokes I say on this channel are, just fucking jokes, and shouldn't be taken out of proportion, and all that other sass and whatnot, all that jazz. Uh, yeah, more like she didn't put her full foot into this, and most of them sounded just really mediocre and half-ass rehashes of older songs. That's pretty much how I feel about Volume Six's soundtrack in a nutshell. And I said their background music is forgettable. Hell, even Yu Yu Hakusho's background music is more memorable than this season, and that's saying a lot because Yu Yu Hakusho's background music literally consists of like 6 songs. If you actually think about it, there's the really sad one, and then there's the instrumental remix version of the outro of the intro, and then you got the one where shit's about to kick off, and then you got the other one where shit is also about to kick off. So yeah, that's pretty much Yu Yu Hakusho's soundtrack in a nutshell, and that's how pretty much I feel about Volume Six's background music in a nutshell. It's just really forgettable, bland. If you miss it, it was here, and if you miss it, then that's just how it is. That's pretty much how I feel about the background music for Volume 6. It's just like Yu Hakusho. It's forgettable, and it's here and there, and it's like only like 3 or 4 tracks on the whole fucking series, or in RWBY's case, this volume. Um, yeah, I'll probably get to more, overall, background music for TV shows and shit later in the future. But yeah, that's just pretty much one of the many gripes I got with Volume 6 in general. And one thing I'm literally just gonna have to take away from this season, because in general it was actually Volume 6 was actually pretty damn good for the most part. I actually did enjoy it. I feel like they actually, it looked like, this time around they're actually taking risks with Volume 6, here and there. It's not just, everything always works out at the end type thing, there's actually risk. People actually kind of die, things actually happen, whatnot. So, yeah, it is what it is. For the most part, that's pretty much why I actually do like Volume 6. Um, in terms of character development, it's non-existent. Just saying, that's pretty much all it is. I guess you could say the most character development we'll get is from Oscar. He stopped being such a pussy. And, he's not a pansy. He's actually looking forward to being part of Team RWBY. It looked like he's actually taking charge and whatnot. So yeah, that's pretty much the closest character development you'll actually get in the Volume 6 is Oscar. And his character development in general was really just a fucking hand wave. Like, John literally just got mad at him when they were in the house and he ran off and he got new clothes and he's not much of a pussy as he was before automatically. And pretty much that's pretty much the overall character development in Volume 6. Character development period for Oscar. That's pretty much all you're going to get from Season 6 is mostly Oscar got character development for the most part. And his character development is he's not a pussy. He's not of a big pussy as he was in Volume 4, because you see him as this helpless farm kid. Now he's he's a bit more braver. He's a bit older. He's more willing. He's more brave. He's to do shit. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much the closest to character development you get. Because it's pretty much fucking non-existent in this. Crow's still a fucking drunk. Ruby's still annoying. Nora's still fucking annoying. John's still a bitch. What's his name? That dude. Damn, he's kind of forgettable. Ren, yeah, Ren. Ren is still your stereotypical, really wise and intelligent fighter character. And pretty much the biggest character development we even seen of him and Nora was back in Volume 4 when he slayed that Necro V, or at least just get more insight on her backstory. I guess I can't really count that as character development. It's just told more about their backstory. So yes, it wouldn't be called character development, or at least not full force character development. It's just talk more insight on who they were in the past, and that's pretty much what you got. Their whole fucking village was wasted by this horse monster looking revenant from Doom looking monster. And that's pretty much all you got from him. But yeah, in terms of character development, it's non-existent, and the closest you'll get to it is Oscar, and his was literally fucking hand waved where he just got bitched out by John, and he ran to some of her bitch's house and got clothes, and he's not a big pussy as always. But I'll give you some time, bro. Okay, good, thank you. Anyway, yeah. It is pretty much all you get from character development this season. Uh, damn. Um, hmm. I guess for the most part, especially the whole when it comes to big, twists and reveals in this and overall fan service, I guess that'll be pretty much the like third half I'll get into this video. God, I can't fucking count. Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, in terms of character reveals and twist and all that, I guess this time around again, I wasn't completely disappointed. Although personally, I just saw Neo's appearance as just mindless pandering, like just obviously mindless pandering. Like this bitch literally is just saying when Salem went to Melichoid, purple spider bitch, fat purple spider bitch. When she literally just went to her, she said, "Hey, was there somebody watch me?" Oh yes, there was, sugar. And it was that death bitch. And then boom, they zoomed to fucking Neo, and then they started fucking throwing bees at each other. And it was just and from there it was just mindless, just pandering. Like I get it, this is what people wanted, and it do seem like such spoiled fucking brats for even speaking out about it, but you can kind of tell Rooster Teeth just simply fucking did it to get us to shut the fuck up. So it's just pandering, and honestly, that's just not the Akachan way. I really don't like fucking pandering, or just really just blatant and bad fan service to get people to shut the fuck up. Like it doesn't have to be that way. Just include the character where you need to. Just don't fucking just pull out of your fucking ass and smack her on the screen, because that's pretty much what Neo's appearance was in this series. It's just really bad and random and ass pulling fan service for the sake of it, just to get the people who can't complain about her not being there to shut up, and it was just really badly handled. So yeah, that's just how I pretty much felt about Neo in general. Miyari pretty much already got it on the episode where she came up on. So yeah, you already know how I feel about that, and I guess this is me just clarifying it and whatnot. Um, uh, in terms of hmm, if you were talking about flashbacks or character reveals, really, with Salem's backstory, I kind of had a feeling I was going to be really disappointed because it was going to be some really obvious and repetitive shit, and it was some really obvious and repetitive shit. But actually, I was all right with it because I kind of saw it coming, and expect. It's really difficult to say. Okay, in a nutshell, I knew it was going to be some repetitive backstory shit. But now that I saw it and whatnot, and it came and went, I'm like, I'm not. I don't really got my panties in a bunch about it because my expectations weren't high to begin with. So yeah, it was what it was. I mean, I guess it explains a few things, which RWBY kind of has a really bad reputation of not doing explaining shit, which actually brings me back to exposition. Because RWBY in itself, like I said before, has this really odd and wonky exposition. Like, especially when something's pretty much already fucking told, RWBY brings it up. But when something is told over and over again, it's important and whatnot, it never seems to ever be told or elaborated on. Just like with Silver Eyes, we pretty much literally get into volume 6 of now where we actually know what it is. And it pretty much took them like fucking 5 seasons just to get to it. I mean, Osman fucking mentioned it in the first episode of RWBY, like the first episode ever of RWBY. Like he even puts clear distinction on it. Hey, your eyes, you have silver eyes. Like obviously that's some foreshadowing, and they never built it on up until now. I mean, she did it to one shot Cinder, but and they said it was some warrior trait that's only passed to Pacific Huntsmen. They can strike a Grim down from its spot or some shit like that. but that's pretty much the only thing we got from it. There was no really further explanation on Silverize until Volume 6 itself. So yeah, Silverize, they finally explained it, I guess. But instead of it just being, a warrior trait that we developed, they pretty much had to fucking just shove those awfully designed and just bland looking ass god characters into it. The Silver Eyes actually might be traced back to the god of light. It's not really a warrior trait. It's literally just the power of God past the humans. If that's concrete or not, because they pretty much hand waved that when Calivera was explaining more about it to Ruby when they were in the garden. So that was hand waved. Maybe it is the power of the god of light. Maybe it's just a warrior trait. Or maybe, I just gotta stop fucking keeping my hopes up on Silver Eyes because maybe it's just a really bad and lame way to squeeze in the gods into the continuity of it. If the Silver Eyes itself didn't play such a fucking minor role in Ruby to begin with, along with the four seasonal maidens and the relics. They try to make the relics seem prominent in this. Hell, they even try to make the maiden seem prominent in Volume 6. But again, they're just all just these really minuscule plot devices that just don't go anywhere. So yeah, it is what it is on terms of reveals and stories and whatnot in Volume 6. I mean, in a way, I'm glad that everything is adequately explained in Volume 6. All the terminologies and things of Ruby is adequately explained in this season. But for the most part, it was just whatever because I kind of actually had a hunch that Salem and Osman's backstory had something to do with them pretty much just being a couple at one point, and they were pretty much God amongst men on Earth, and I kind of had a hunch about that. I kind of saw it coming, but the fact of it is just I couldn't care less about it. I couldn't care about Silver Eyes because there's just a really lame brainwave for them to squeeze in the goss into the continuity of what Silver Eyes were, instead of this being this almighty power that we as humans develop through, our history of being huntressmen and huntresses. Instead, it just had to cram in that lame brain characters into the continuity. So I can care less about Silver Eyes if that's true, if that's concrete. Um, Salem and Ozma, his backstory, kind of saw it coming, but yeah, I'm not disappointed. I just couldn't care about it. Like, especially when you take into account that Salem is kind of responsible for why Remnant is kind of the way it is in the first place. She's kind of the reason why the moon is like that. She's pretty much kind of the reason why she's in an undying body. And she pretty much did all that shit to herself. She's kind of responsible for Grim. And especially when she fell into that Grim semen and became a Grim human hybrid, I guess. They never fucking said what Salem became when she dropped into the black semen. She just became a human Grim hybrid. That's pretty much why mostly that my take on what was going on with her when she did that. I mean, they said that pool is of death. It brings death, and she was immortal for a while, and just like anyone else who probably would become immortal, might get fucking bored and just want to find an end all be all to it. And hers was dropping to the black Grim semen and becoming a Grim demon hybrid or whatever. They never really said anything about it. She just got mutated and her skin turned bleach white and her eyes turned black and her nails got black and she got those weird marks. They never really actually explained anything about her appearance of that. She just fell into the black cum, came out of it as that shit. She a Grim hybrid. I don't know. She's whatever. It's whatever. Never really explained. It is what it is, I guess. Um I kind of like, for the most part, that they kind of did, you know, ditch the whole filler esque episodes in this, because in general, and I pretty much said this in like older reviews of RWBY, for those who ever actually stuck around. Uh, for the most part, it's just damn, I lost my fucking train of thought. Uh, hmm. Let's see. Talking about Salem's backstory wasn't disappointing, but it was just whatever. I couldn't give a shit about her. I'm just trying to keep online with this shit. Man, my brain ain't fucking here right now, y'all. Um, hmm. Yeah, reveals were whatever. They weren't disappointing. They were just whatever. Soundtrack was whatever. Animation, visuals, choreography was pretty good. Losing my damn mind. Hmm. Oh yeah, yeah, filler. Yeah, now I'm getting to it. God damn. Um, mm, in terms of filler, I'm glad. Yeah, they didn't have much of this in Ruby. Um, especially episodes dealing with cooking. But yeah, for the most part, it was pretty. It was just a little inside joke I made with my brothers about that. Yeah, in terms, yeah, it's not really a lot of filler episodes. I kind of found that was pretty fucking cool. I guess because Volume 6 in itself is a season. It more or less to me how I make it out. It's pretty much the exposition season for the most part, and sometimes it's done really bad, and some spots it's done really good. But for the most part, this is the season where everything's actually explained, and I feel like if they had fillers in this, it would have just completely just made all that explanation for nothing, because we'll be fucking seduced to looking at episodes that really fucking go anywhere. I mean, they explain more about Calivera's backstory. She was the Grim Reaper. She was a really popular huntress woman, huntress, goddamn huntress in the world of Remnant, and she got blinded, and people fucking thought she bit it, but she didn't. She was just a hermit, and she was fucking hating the world. Fuck, I would too if I was fucking blinded. So yeah, uh, but that episode in general, I mean, that was literally from that Pacific episode. The only big thing they did for that part was just actually explain uh, Calivera's story. Everything else on that Pacific episode was just null and void, and pointless. So I guess that'll be the technically only just utterly pointless filler episode of RWBY. But for the most part, yeah, RWBY Volume 6 in itself is a season that's specifically made to explain everything, to give exposition, to give detail on everything. Or at least that's how I see it. And I think that's why I like it so much. Finally, after like fucking 5 seasons of this slop, we finally get somewhere. We finally know questions, and sometimes it kind of raise more answers, because some things just honestly don't make sense. So, like Ruby's silver, the whole concept of the silver eyes. What are they really? Are they a warrior trait gained from huntressmen and huntresses, or is it literally just the power of God just given to mortals? So it's just whatever. Like it leaves things. It leaves a lot of questions for the most part. Answers a lot of questions, while at the same time leaves so many other. So yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about overall the filler control, so to speak, in Volume 6. It was handled properly, and it wasn't fucking just flooded with pointless episodes. It's really a season about explaining things, and they got it right for the most part. Some things just don't make sense. Some plot arcs could have been played out better, but for the most part, yeah, they pulled it off adequately enough in this. In terms of fillers and substance and episodes, weekly episodes and whatnot. Um, For the most part, I know a lot of people actually had a lot of fucking mixed thoughts about the first official actual LGBTQ representation in RWBY. I mean, it's crystal fucking clear that that bitch Yang is obviously lessy. So yeah, that was already made clear that they're lessy. So yeah, whatever. But really, actually, or even Ilya, because she's openly gay or whatever. But in this one, they actually finally made it concrete where John's sister turned out to be gay. So yeah, I guess they somewhat pulled it off in this. The actual first real, representation, like sort of tongue in cheek, representation of homosexuals in RWBY, and they somewhat pulled it off sort of convincingly enough in this. It was a little ham-fisted, but it was still, it was still it was still adequate enough representation in in this particular season. So yeah, salute to Rooster Teeth. It was a bit ham-fisted, but they still pulled it off, and they didn't overdo it or anything. They weren't these characters put on this really high pedestal. They're just like anyone else, because that's kind of how you should write all your characters. They should be just like anyone else in terms of plateau and a precipice treatment. Like no one should know. Like there should be like some random, let's say, Arabic character in movie, but he's like, a Mary Sue. He or she's a Mary Sue or anything. Like it's obviously pandering, and it's pandering to like the third degree. Just why don't you just make an Arabic character or any culturally different or ethical character. Just be a character in the series, not just mindless and obvious pandering. Just make the character as you would make any other character. And with the lesbian couple in Volume 6, at times, yeah, it did seem just blatant pandering. But for the most part, they actually made it concrete. They weren't seem in a high esteem, or they weren't completely ridiculed or anything. They just seem like how you would write any other character. So yeah, the overall LGBTQ representation in Volume 6 with that particular couple, it was pulled off. It was pulled off convincingly enough. Although, yeah, at some point where they just finally came out, bow, we're gay, and with that scene in particular, or certain scenes, yeah, it just seemed just like mindless pandering, but it was still convincing enough for the most part. So yeah, good job, Rooster Teeth. You finally actually did something that's not as pandering as most of the fucking fan service aspects of the whole show, like Neo popping up or Ilya popping up literally in the first episode. They literally just have one small chat with Blake and just leave him for the rest of the season. Just like literally, Ilya just randomly just came up in the first episode, talked a bit. The son hit on her, and she was like, "No, I'm not. I don't like nunchucks. I like, you know." So yeah, um, uh, yeah. So yeah, she was just literally just hand wave character, like, "Hey guys, I'm here, and I'm now on that." I mean, for the most part, dude is just pushing the character, Ilya's character, to be, for development and relevancy and whatnot. And hell, even sometimes they try to push and make it seem like she was going to be a, big time character in the series, or, here and there, or play a big part. But no, she was just hand waved, and pretty much she was pretty much absent from the whole fucking season. So yeah, it's whatever. I guess the gay couple wasn't pandered as much. It was convincing enough, and they did it right, and it wasn't just mindless fan service and pandering. So yeah, good job, Rooster Teeth, on that. And honestly, I didn't take it too hard. I didn't see the pandering as harshly as anyone else took it. Like some people fucking lost their minds when they first saw the first gay couple. I saw them like, oh, okay, it's two lesbians. Okay, this is just real. I mean, really, I wasn't even surprised when they revealed that they were gay. It's just I just saw them as any other character. Like I said, I'm not gonna write a different ethically or sexuality character or anything of that ethically or religious character or anyone who's largely different from other characters. I don't tend to write them to the highest bidder or the lowest level. I just would write them as any other character, and I feel like they did pull it off with them in this. So yeah, good job, Rooster Dave. I know I've been fucking repeating it, but that's kind of the only way you're gonna actually understand it. It's kind of like teaching. You won't learn something once. If you actually want to be good at something, or in terms of teaching or learning or keeping memory of something, you can't always need to get a wake up call, so to speak. So yeah, um, Adam's death. Adam's death in this. Honestly, actually, this. I'm just, no, I should have just said this in reveals, but fuck it. Adam's death in this. Adam's death in this volume actually at one point kind of did actually got me a bit flabbergasted at one point. I mean, I knew they were going to kill Adam somehow, but I didn't think it was going to be as soon as Volume 6. I thought it was going to be like in Volume 10 or Volume 7 or something, or Volume 8 or something. I didn't think they were going to do it as sooner as they did now, and I think that was the main reason why I was, and pretty much the only reason why I was actually flabbergasted with his death, because I didn't think they was going to kill him so soon in the series. Um, and I guess the whole big reveal was under his blindfold the whole time. It was a marking from the Schnee Company, and they pretty much fucked his eye up. And ever since, I guess that was the push that made him want to revolt against humans. I guess when they pretty much put him into fucking they put him up in the fucking labor forces for dust, and they pretty much branded him with that seal across his face. The whole reveal of it, honestly, actually, at one point, I thought Ray Grimjow was gonna have just regular eyes, but I guess my expectations were wrong. I guess, but you know what? It's fine. I mean, I thought it was going to have regular eyes, but no, one of them was just branded and just fucked up from the seal. Um, Personally, Blake and Yang versus Adam. Personally, I found that actually to be one of the actually most interesting fights in this series. Considering for the most part, RWBY Volume 6 actually isn't really big on fighting there. Like again, like I said, they're actually really big on actually, explaining the terminology and all the things in RWBY for the most part. I mean, the only real fight you actually get from Volume 6 is Salem versus Neo, which again is just mindless pandering, so it was whatever. And honestly, you kind of already knew fucking Cinder had that fight in the bag as soon as she turned on her fall mating powers with this really odd looking 2D cyclone circulating her, despite everything else being this not CGI tornadoes, 2D animated tornado. Despite everything else being CGI, it just looked really out of place. Why couldn't you just make the cyclone CGI? Just I mean, it's not impossible to blend CGI and 2D animation, but in that particular scene, just looked really odd and out of place, so to speak. Yeah, pretty much what I said about animation in general. It was pretty fine in this season, although yeah, there were certain spots in this in Volume 6 where it just seemed really fucking odd. Like everything else being CGI. But yet their Chimney Fire was 2D, and Salem Cyclone was 2D, and it kind of just didn't really mash well in those particular scenes, so could have used a bit more work. Uh, but yeah, Adam's fight, yeah, it's pretty much one of the best fights there. Fights on in Volume 6, aside from probably that whole train fight they had with that ground itself. Um, that little rope around Blake's sword, I never knew what it was until pretty much Yang used it as a, what's the word I'm looking for? Not a catapult. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I guess you would call it catapult because she's no a slingshot. Yeah, slingshot. Where she used the end of her sword as a slingshot to fight Adam. I never knew what it was until I saw it now. I mean, I guess she did see it in action in further seasons. I guess I just don't remember. But in that one, I feel like it was expertly used for the most part. It was pretty much used as a slingshot to get to one place to another. Um, Uh, damn. Yeah, that was was a pretty good fight, and actually, for the most part, I kind of did find it fitting how both Yang and Blake slays Adam at the same time. Um, Adam always been treating Blake like garbage since page one, and Yang pretty much lost her fucking arm to Adam, and even then during that fight, she was scared shitless because she was pretty much suffering from the revolver ocelot syndrome of losing her other arm to a really swift and fast guy with a sword. And now I think about it, kind of sounds pretty coincidental. Never mind, it's probably nothing. Uh, After all, these guys did. Yeah, the guys behind Ruby, Miles and Carrie were, after all, openly said they were, looking at anime while they were on production of Ruby or anything for that. So yeah, it's probably not coincidental. But yeah, it just reminded me a lot of when Gray Fox slew off Revolver Ocelot's arm, and her pretty much having paranoia of it losing again. That's why she was so hesitant of fighting Adam again. And I just pretty much, actually, in that general, I saw that scene, like, that scene in particular was really good because that's kind of how, you know, that's kind of how that would really happen in for real. Like, if this guy cut my arm off in a fight, and yeah, despite me pretty much getting a new automail arm that Yang got, despite of that, and I pretty much have the audacity to fight this motherfucker again, I would still seem a little shook about it, or if not shook, but a little more hesitant, or I'll take my time more so it wouldn't happen again. And that scene in particular, it's for the most part, was really realistic. That's what would really happen, and if it was put into a realistic scenario, like it goes to show that Yang is not this really just boring powerhouse tomboy character that we always see in the series. There's actually kind of something to that character now. She's you know not always throwing herself head first into a fight. She's actually standing her ground. She's hesitant. She's watching it. She's a little fearful, but she knows, like, this motherfucker got to go down. So I got to fucking swallow my fucking fear and fight this nigga for what he did to me and my wifey. So yeah, I kind of did like it because that's what would happen in a more realistic approach. It kind of did seem like something that would happen in such a scenario, and that scene in particular was really well played off in terms of how that scenario worked. And even despite of all that, they still fought back and put the nigga on front page news. So yeah, it was pretty. That whole scene in general, the whole fight, that whole scene in general. I'm not complaining. They found a tone that fit for it. The fight was awesome. The choreography was acceptable. The dramatic attention was there. They kind of did feel, convinced that they're at odds ends, and they got to actually take this from a more smarter approach. You know, Yang for the most part did actually seem logical or reasonable, or if this would actually happen. This is what paranoia really is, instead of that really just forced and fast and unconvincing subplot that she had in Volume 4. Like, it actually did seem like she was a paranoid victim. Like, it actually did seem like she had post traumatic distress in this season. So yeah, they in that particular scene. So yeah, they did play that scene off pretty well for the most part. I already told y'all what I feel about the finale. That finale, you can go suck my balls. Um, Miniature Donald Trump is pretty much literally the most annoying character in RWBY since Ruby herself and Nora. The Leviathan was just a black, all black version of an all black version of Godzilla. All it was missing was the sound, and honestly, the Leviathan literally came out of fucking nowhere. And yes, I already know y'all gonna say, but the Grim is attracted by negative emotion and violence. And we see earlier in the episodes before Leviathan appeared that Donald Trump, film Donald Trump was fighting Team RWBY because they didn't want them to leave Arcus. Yes, I already know. I get it. Yes, negative emotions and violence and malice and all that attracts Grim, but it just still seemed really fucking forced because they already took down the robot that mini Donald Trump was in, and then as soon as that ended, like, oh no, look over there, it's a Grim, and then Leviathan came in there, and I'm like, yeah, I get it, yeah, it's attracted by it, but you guys just had no build up with mini Donald Trump, and you literally just had to pull this Godzilla looking shit just out of your fucking ass to proceed the series, to enlarge the series even more. And personally, the whole finale, even with Leviathan, was pretty fucking lame. Uh, the whole Silver Eyes thing was pretty much fucking useless and kind of seems like a plot hole in this series for the most part. Uh, they said themselves, hell, Crow himself quoted that the Silver Eyes could strike down Grim, that could strike down the Grim, but her fucking Silver Eyes just turns into stone. But I thought how they how they explained Silver Eyes, how they rid Silver Eyes, they made it seem like it was a cheap attack, like that one really OP one hit kill attack you'll find in an RPG. That's kind of what they made it. That's kind of what they pushed it as. That's what they kind of wanted to make Silver Eyes look like. That's what they were pushing it as. But I guess the Silver Eyes has limiters. I guess, despite it possibly being the power of God, and they said the God of Light or anything of the creation of God of Light can pretty much destroy anything of darkness. Yet her Silver Eyes didn't have that same powered pussy. Yeah, that's the term I came up. Power pussy. It didn't have that power pussy ability that she did to the Grim Dragon when she was fighting Salem. No, not Salem. When she's fighting Cinder. They didn't have that same potency to kill the dragon from the mountain, but had the same potency to kill that thing with one shot. Yet with this creature that's literally no more different from the dragon, only that thing is in the ocean, was had a thicker hide to prevent it from being attacked by the Silver Eyes. So yeah, that, like, again, that raises so many questions. They say it's pretty much end all be all of anything of darkness and Grim and whatnot. Like, it could just kill something simultaneously on the spot with one sight. But here it kind of looks like it has limiters. So that kind of raises a lot of questions on the type of potency or, so to speak, power level of the Silver Eyes. If it's literally the power of God, yet it can't do simply what it was written to do, which was striking down a Grim. Which is the same thing I had with the apathy with the Revenants. Well, they're not apathy Grim. Those are the Revenants from Doom. They just didn't get the cyber treatment like the other ones. They're just Revenants without the little shits on them. Yeah. So anyway, she was fighting, just like example, when she was fighting the Revenants, and the Revenants literally had the ability to more or less uh, endouse and to more or less fill them up with self doubt and pity for themselves and sorrow, and pretty much disables them the ability to fight back. Like she was able to use the Silver Eyes on them and like wipe half of them out, despite being a whole horde of them in the back. Yeah, it's and actually for the most part, I did like actually the concept of the Revenants in that particular episodes. They weren't big fighters like the Boars or the Beowulfs or anything. They weren't like them, but they were they still had a trick up their sleeve to make up for their inability to be as proficient beasts as their other grim counterparts. So yeah, I did like their little spin of they use self doubt and self pity and whatnot. Excuse me to depower their opponents. It was a nice spin to it, the Revenants, but it just felt like if they said the Silver as itself can wipe them down, then how come Leviathan was able to shake off her Silver Eyes that turned her to stone for some reason, despite the Silver Eyes pretty much fucking evaporated the dragon in at the finale of Volume 3, but could turn that thing to stone, I guess. So it's like there's a Medusa thing going on with the Silver Eyes. Like that's pretty much the whole point of this thesis. I'm like, it's kind of, it leads to a lot of continuity errors for the most part. I mean, it looks like it just evaporates shit, like just like it did to the dragon. But if it's not powered up a specific way, or if it's not as strong, then it could turn Grim into stone. I'm like, you actually have to do something with it. Like the continuity with it is so fucking choppy. Like I said before, Volume 6 answers a lot of questions, but also raises a whole lot of other ones. Like, how does Silver Eyes exactly work? I mean, we know what it's capable of, we know what it does, but how does it actually fucking work? The continuity sometimes in this volume it just doesn't make any sense, or it's just really really scratchy or really incoherent for some parts. Uh, I guess that's pretty much all I got to say about Volume 6 for the most part. And yeah, despite of all the gripes I pretty much pointed out for this season, it was still pretty fucking good. It was still a breath of fresh air. And like I said before, this was really the season that pretty much explained everything and finally put the lid on the gazpacho of the all the many questions we had for Ruby, so to speak. Uh, um, yeah, so yeah, despite of all the gripes, I said it's still pretty good. It explained most things. The choreography pretty much got back on its feet. Um, Animations was good. The choreography was great. Um, Visuals was great. Character development is non-existent, but it's still pretty good. So yeah, despite of the bads somewhat kind of over covering the goods in this season, I still enjoyed it because it still kind of explained everything, kind of did answer a few questions, and for the most part, also there were a lot of scenes I liked in general. Like honestly, I kind of did find Cinder and Neo's alliance kind of actually kind of interesting for the most part. Actually, like I'm kind of curious of how that's going to work out in the next season for the most part. Uh, and also on that, I also can't wait for all the the eventual Rule 34 lesbian porn they're going to have for those two characters. The main part. Considering if Cinder has a grim arm, that means she also has a grim. So yeah, so I'm just saying, it is just exactly what I'm talking about, y'all. I'm trolling y'all for the most part. If it ain't me actually doing fucking reviews on this on my channel on YouTube, if it ain't actually doing them, then I'd be fucking making jokes. And right now, what I just said was a joke. So, because like again, some people take shit literally out of proportion. That's kind of pretty much the fucking generation we're living in, y'all. Yeah, but for the most part, it was pretty good. I'm gonna have to give Volume 6 in general an adequate, I would say. Uh, it feels like RWBY itself is finally getting back, getting back on its feet. Yeah, it has gripes, it has problems. Yeah, already just to list them. The soundtrack is forgettable. The background music is forgettable, like always. Character development is non-existent in this. The finale was a fucking joke. They bring up a lot of plot points and subplots in this season that literally fucking don't go anywhere. Most of the reveals in this season in general were kind of were predictable, so I wasn't really expecting much. But in a certain way, it still didn't make me care for them. So that will also be considered a gripe. It wasn't. There weren't many scenes in this arc in Volume 6 that kept me emotionally or dramatically, attentive, except for the fight with Adam and them, and or well, that's pretty much about it. Now, think about it. Yeah, that's the only one that actually caught my attention for real, that I can remember. Not even this scene with Pyrrha's mom pretty much putting flowers down her daughter's grave. I'm like, they're supposed to make it sad and whatnot, but I couldn't care for it because Pyrrha was just such a background character. I mean, she's in Pyrrha's own right. Yeah, she was kind of a cool character, but I couldn't care less about that moment because Pyrrha in herself is a really this forgettable character. Forgettable character. She really played no part in the series whatsoever during her relevancy in RWBY. So I couldn't be emotionally invested in that particular scene that literally got people crying online on live stream about that particular scene got people fucking crying about on live stream when they saw that particular scene where her mom putting the flower down. Just as much as people was literally crying on live stream on the conclusion to Kingdom Hearts 3. It's just it don't have that same emotional weight or dramatic attention to it. So I couldn't care less about scenes like that. Only literally like just that one that I mentioned. Like I kind of was on the edge of my seat with the fight with Adam and all of them and whatnot. Jen is pretty much a fucking plot device. Well, actually, the relics in general are just fucking plot devices now. Uh, and personally, I didn't hate her design for the most part. And no, not because I'm a bachelor and I just fucking broke up with my girlfriend and things haven't been the same ever since. But no, seriously, they actually had no actually had no problems with Jin's overall design. I mean, she looks like a film version of Genie from Aladdin. That's just how I took it as. I couldn't care any more or less about it about how lazy or how over sexualized that people are literally saying about Jin's look. It's over sexualized, despite not depicting or showing any female genitalia or orifices, but whatever. It pretty much she just looks like Genie from Aladdin, not Will Smith Genie, because that's a whole new can of worms right there. But he looks like the original Genie from Aladdin, the original Disney movie, but just feminized. That's pretty much all I got to take on it. She looked it fine, I guess. I'm not crazy about it. I don't find it blind. Don't find it over sexualized. I mean, you only say that if you're if you're a horn dog 14-year-old boy who look at this series. That's literally the only people fucking be saying that it's over sexualized or anything. It was just whatever. It was whatever. In terms of character designs in this series, which was pretty wonky at times. Actually, I did like Callie Farris, her younger look. She looked pretty good. The gods look fucking bland and dumb and stupid. Just look like full crash crash car dummies painted purple and yellow with horns, and one of them could turn to a Chinese dragon, the other could turn to a medieval dragon, and pretty much Oscar's design pretty much looks like the same shit, just with a different coat. But for the most part, yeah, actually, in terms of, but compared to that, to Jen's look, yeah, I would say it would be bland and whatnot because she pretty much does look like the gods, but just blue. But for the most part, didn't have any trouble with it. It was acceptable. It was fine. It was okay for the most part. Uh, I didn't have my dick hard for it because I ain't no horn dog virgin teenage boy anymore. But I I didn't find it bland either because for the most part, it just looked like a Blue Latin from Disney, just feminized. But again, I should also find it bland because again, it's just the gods but blue. It's a mixed bag thing for me with Jin, but for the most part, I really didn't have any big issues with it. Uh, it's pretty much like I got ended, which is inadequate. It was pretty good. Actually, I really did enjoy Ruby Ruby Volume 6. It was pretty good. They explained everything. Some spots in here I just couldn't care for. Some things they explained. Some things were just predictable. Some things just didn't go anywhere. The finale was a fucking joke, and the hint at season 7 again just leaves only more questions with Salem's new gorilla winged sex toys that she's gonna use for whatever she needs them for. It's just whatever. I look at a lot of Jollibee people, just all the sex jokes relating with the Grim and Salem. You all got blamed that on Jollibee or Jaholaby or how you ever explain his or her name or whatever. Yeah, that's just pretty much the source of all my jokes on this video. Um, so yeah, adequate was pretty good. I guess considering this is pretty much the climax of the video, I guess this will be the time to tell y'all what's going on and what to expect probably and whatnot. Let's see, Code Geass was his already by the first episode. I'm fucking just sucked into it because it's pretty much an alternate universe. What happened if Britain, or in this case Britannia, conquered Japan and whatnot. And for a while, I always wanted to look at Code Geass. For some reason, I always dodged it for some reason. But now I'm finally getting to it, despite of its really obvious clamp art style, and it's really kind of just like discreet but kind of still annoying product placements to Pizza Hut, which is kind of odd for an anime to product to use product to advertise in their anime. It just seemed really odd. But yeah, for the most part, I finally got around to Code Geass. It was pretty fucking good. Voltron was great. For a while, actually, I meant to look at that. I saw the first literal full hour episode of it, and it was pretty good for the most part. It reminded me a lot of the original Avatar of Aang and all of them. So the tension and tone of that in general actually really got me invested to it. Um, I know a lot of people Voltron, Netflix Voltron, more or less became the center of everyone's attention for a while, and a lot of people said it just got bad. Some people said it panders too much. Some people who's in the LGBTQ community said that they really downplayed the gay characters in this. Again, like I said, if you're gonna write gay characters, don't try to overdo them and don't underdo them. You can just simply just make them like any other character. So that it's just a few. It's been a center of controversy for a while, and I think that's why I kind of strayed away from it a bit. But I'm like, you know what? No, I'm doing this for my entertainment. So I saw it; it was pretty good. Reminds me a lot of old time Avatar. It was pretty good. So uh, yeah, I'm just getting back. Kind of getting to it. Shira Netflix Shira does not look good at all. It looks like horse shit, and Shira can't looks like a total dyke, despite pretty much being fucking pulpertudinous and feminized in the original series from the '80s, but now she looks like a fucking dyke. So, and I, in general, just have no fucking interest in looking at it in general. You know, not like the original She-Ra was good to begin with. It was pretty much a film version of He-Man for girls, while He-Man was for boys. She was for the chicks, for the girls. So yeah, it was whatever. Both series were totally not up my fucking alley, and I've never became emotionally invested or interested in either. So I couldn't care less about looking at She-Ra or whatever, or the Princesses of Power, or whatever, all their little gay undertones and shit they're obviously pushing in this with Katrina and She-Ra, that for some reason caught everyone's eye for a while, and it pretty much looks like fucking Steven Universe 2.0. So whatever, and especially with the bitch behind the series openly admitting she didn't know jack shit about She-Ra at one point. So yeah, it was whatever. Again, with She-Ra, and I will probably never get around to it. But if I do, it just simply just to see what all the hubbub was about and whatever. Code Geass was pretty good. Voltron was good. I literally just got out from a marathon of Drawn Together. I pretty much saw all 36 episodes of Drawn Together, or 34, I forget. And because originally, actually, I meant to do. I've been should have made a review to RWBY Volume 6 of this yesterday, but I pretty much got stuck up in the middle with a whole review of with a whole marathon with Tron Together and Code Monkeys and the Minority Team and shit. I was getting to a lot of adult animation shit, or maybe because I'm looking forward to actually being a future voice actor, or pretty much making my own Family Guy esque series in the future. Family Guy, Simpsons, King of the Hill esque series of my own somewhere in the future. And I guess I just kept mostly, keep saying that a lot. I kept getting to a lot of adult animations for a lot of for a while, so I can take pieces off so I can make my own. And especially this novel I'm also working on. It's pretty much a black version of Oz, but it's not the Wiz. It's just a black, my own interpretation, action fantasy version of said series. So yeah, I've been busy more or less. Been looking at a lot of shit. Been getting a lot of fucking work done. I wrote a few book reviews and movie reviews, like written down. I might post them up right now. So yeah, whatever website that takes reviews or whatever, I'm still getting around to it. I may post them somewhere in the future. So wherever it be, DeviantArt or Goodreads or yeah, Goodreads, whatever site that takes book reviews and written movie reviews, y'all can just check that out anytime. So yeah, yeah, actually been writing more a lot actually. I'm always wanted to be a writer somewhere in the past, but it never came out. So I never work towards to it, but now I think I'm finally actually getting around to a lot of shit. Trying to get into voice acting. I always wanted to be a voice actor and shit. So yeah, I'm working towards doing that probably. So that means just probably make a quick buck, or personally because I always just wanted to be one. Trying to obviously getting back to music writing that I kept fucking talking about in videos. So yeah, it is that. I'm just finally getting a call back from things. It is what it is. Yeah, so yeah, you already know the drill. Give a like if you like this video. Give notifications if you did subscribe to this channel. To know anytime I make a new video. Post down in the comments what y'all thought about this whole discussion board. See if y'all want me to do more of these, because personally I actually like doing hour-long discussion boards like these all the time. Um, so yeah, you already know. Check me out on DeviantArt, my Twitter. I pretty much post shit on. I might be making a season finale review on Genlock. Actually, I'm sure of it. I will get around to that. And about time I see the last episode of Promised Neverland, episode 12. Keep a big eye out for that. So yeah. So yeah, you already know the drill. You already know what's up. Just glad to be back. Blah 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 blah. And like always, man, that's who was watching y'all. Peace.